Toys.
Toys.
While in Vietnam, we brought over just carry-on bags, and we had actually checked bags on a return flight that were included within the flight itself. So we decided to take advantage of that and have Max Crews bundle up some of the metal components for us to ship back. We have no clue what's in here. I told them that we had 23 kilos, that we could do a piece per box, and told them to load it full of some of the goodies. So let's see what we got. Now I know the aluminum pieces we're gonna need to anodize, because of course we want everything black, and they have silver anodization, do not have black there. What do we got? What we got?
Lots of stuff.
Lots of stuff. So this is the bow section, how we connect our forebeam. You can see they already got the bushings in there where we can tie off a bridle. So if we are doing like for mooring, great location for that. So that's all set. The prodder, so the end of our longeron, and decided to do an aluminum piece for this. It goes into the beam itself, or that prodder that actually comes out the front, and allows attachment for things like the code 0, that kind of stuff. Went this route instead of Dyneema just for the ease of use, because it actually bolts through and everything, and for us it's going to be a more durable setup for us, something that we can keep an eye on. And then one of the things you'll see, because we have that carbon fiberglass prodder, they end up having a dolphin striker on this boat. So what that is, it's a piece that goes down. There's basically a spreader that comes down about 1.5 to 2 feet down below our boat, and there's a line that attaches to that. So that's what that little connection is. A plate of some sort, no clue where this one's gonna go. Backing plates. This is for our chain plates, of course, which are that big guy right there.
They look so big once they're in your hand.
Yes, that is a huge, massive stainless steel piece, all polished up and everything ready for us. And the nice thing is they do have the little bushing inserts in there too.
Set that aside and keep it safe.
Yeah, we don't want that to get all scratched up.
More plates.
This is for the bow roller, anchor roller piece. I'm guessing this is the support. This actually goes inside the beam itself and adds some additional support. This is either the one for the staysail, or it's at the end or the midpoint where the forestay is going to attach. Not sure which one this is. We'll figure that out later. Attachment point for, it says number 3. I think that's the staysail attachment point. Bunch of bolts. All right,
Cool. Well, that's box 1.
Box 1.
That was the small box.
This guy holds. The rest of our stuff's gonna need to be shipped over, but it did seem like a good opportunity to at least save some shipping money. The other forebeam attachment. Oh, it's our steps. Steps and steps and steps.
Steps and steps and steps. Things that we'll be able to install right away, actually.
Oh.
Wow. So that's the anchor roller?
So this is our anchor roller.
Wow.
Okay, so that is our massive anchor roller. Chain roller up at the top. This is exciting. I didn't think this was going to fit in there. And again, I felt so bad because this was kind of a last minute thing. We arrived in Vietnam and suddenly realized that we could do this. So quickly asked Tom, one of the managers at the yard, if he could box some of the stuff up for us. We didn't think we were going to be able to fit this in. So I thought I was going to have to wait to put that form beam together, but this gives me what I need to actually do that.
Nice.
So we'll get this, send this out, get this all anodized. Other pieces in here.
The steps that will go, if you see the cutouts right there.
Yep.
Those are the bottom ones. We actually have the smaller top ones on our suitcases.
Yep. And then a pretty step here. This is to get us onto the cabin top. So it bolts into
from the foredeck.
the base. little pad right there. Step up and onto to get onto the actual cabin top from the floor deck. Yeah, they're stainless steel work. That's one of the things I love about it. We saw this before. The guys they spend all the time going through and polishing it, so it's all hand polished out, and it ends up just looking flawless. So we'll get this, especially the shiny stainless stuff, we'll get that put away. We'll get the aluminum stuff to the anodizers, get that all black. So as soon as we pull the boat out of the shed here, because we don't have the length for it, we can finally put that forebeam into place and kind of go from there. We can start doing the rigging stuff then. We're finally back to the bridge deck and finishing off the galley. One of the first things we need to do is get that wood, that white oak trim on. And so it's going to go into these little inserts here, down here, here, and down here. So that is going to frame the pull-out drawer that we have in this area. And there's going to be an inset here that looks like it's a drawer. It's kind of a false drawer front. And then we'll have drawers on this side and another false drawer front here. So we do have all of that. So it looks kind of like one big piece set up. What we're going to do to bond this in place, you can see I kind of have this is going to act as a straight edge to make sure that these pieces are sitting in flush and flat, instead of being canted in or out. I want to make sure that's going to look good when the drawer is in place. So this will go here and one here, just to make sure that we're getting that straight. Same thing across the top there. For bonding these in, we are using the Total Boat. We're using their Thixo, the flex version of it, so it will adjust with the temperature and humidity change there, so it should not cause problems. One of the things you'll see too is there will be around all of the door fronts, the doors themselves, drawer fronts, all those things, there'll be wood trim along that as well with a wood veneer. And that's the same way that we do that is with the epoxy. So it's a known way of doing things. It's the way that a lot of the boats are built. So we're not really experimenting with anything. Don't worry, this is how they do it. So we'll get that in place and hopefully not make too big of a mess right now. So the amount that we're going through, we're actually gonna just mix this ourselves.
What is the work time on this Thixo?
No clue.
Simon up in smoke helps you mend you where you broke. When Simon says just take the pill, what doesn't kill you makes you well.
Good thing is it stays pretty well. Oh,
Nah, you're gonna say still stays in place.
and the big boy.
Simon says what Simon knows. Follow like the river flows. Listen
Once all of the white oak trim pieces had been glued in, and the straight line pieces of wood were either clamped in or screwed in place to keep the trim flush with the edges, Matt did his last checks to make sure everything looked to be in its proper place before the glue could set and adjustments could still be made. And while all of that technically came out perfectly, there was one thing not accounted for in this plan.
So sick of sanding and sanding and sanding, decided to start working in the galley again. Please ignore the mess and dust in here, but give you an idea. Oof, man, does it look bad. So you can see this hasn't been glassed into place. Right over here where we're storing all of our paints and stuff right now is going to be the front load refrigerator. Area next to it was going to be the freezer. We're gonna do a pull-out drawer and have this whole plan designed, but going back and forth about this, decided that it probably isn't the best location for it. And one of the factors for it is I do want to get thicker insulation around this fridge or freezer. The way that we like to do it is we like to do a really deep freeze, so really low temperature. And with the insulation that comes on this Vitrifigo unit, probably adequate for like higher temperature freezing, but that low that we want, it's going to use a lot of power. So I didn't want to give up too much space by putting in big insulation in this area. And quite frankly, I don't think we're going to be accessing the freezer that often. We really don't currently. So what the plan now is to move the freezer, free up the space, because I mean, who doesn't want more space in a galley? This is going to be a good place for pots and pans, basically all those extra little things that we're going to want, that we're going to access on a day-to-day basis. So free that area up, and then what we're going to do is we're moving the freezer to this. This is the settee area. Going to be my side of the settee, but what it allows us to do is we'll have a drop in here. And I remember Delos, Brian showed us his freezer that comes in the ML, and they have it right below the settee. A nice area for it. Again, if it's something that you're not accessing that often, might as well have it in this area. What it's allowing me to do is it's allowing me to put an extra 2 inches of insulation on either side, a little bit more on the bottom as well. I can still, because of that, the Vitrifigo, the way that it's set up, that freezer, it allows me to remote mount the compressor itself. So that will go through that little bulkhead and into the same area as the refrigerator, which then we could have good ventilation there. It's not going to be in this area. This is actually going to be less work than building the drawer system for over on that side. And it's going to allow me to finalize this whole setup here. So yesterday I did a quick little cutout. This used to be a nice little rounded over area. What it is, I cut this out to what the actual sizes of the freezer to drop into place. Right now I'm cutting some of the 2-inch foam to fill this in. And the way I figure I'm going to do this is I will bond the 2-inch pieces of foam in this area, put our little drop-in setup that we have currently, and then on the in between the 2-inch foam and the outside of the freezer, we'll pour in some of that insulating foam, some little pour-in foam. Pour that in to really fill it in. It's going to create a good vapor barrier then between the foam pieces. It's going to fill in the cracks of the foam pieces, and then basically it's making it so it's roughly 3.5 to 4 inches of foam then around this freezer, which is adequate. It's a pretty good number for what we're going to be using it for. Cleaned up that edge. Just going to measure down. Bottom piece cuts, rounded the edges, so hopefully it'll fit in that cove area. Just about perfect, a little bit of a gap there, so I'll trim that down. Well, that's the bottom. First step. Now I need to try dropping in the actual freezer itself and making sure that I have enough clearance. That's going to bring it up to the right height. And then I'll leave that in place and fit the rest of the pieces. 3 sides of the insulation are now in place. We got this side, this side, this side. The back is going to go in there once I get this insert in, and then it'll be time to do that pour in foam. I've also now made the lip that the top is going to sit on. This is just going to be the same material as that foam composite material for that, and then that will get bonded to the actual lid for the freezer itself. Now you can see the gap, the space that we have to pour in. It probably ends up being close to 1/2 inch on either side. What I'll end up doing is just putting little wedges in here to hold it in place when we pour. And we're using a 2-pound density, which doesn't quite have that expansion strength. Quite frankly, this has already had poured on it anyway, so this is rigid and strong. But we'll just pour into that gap, fill it in slowly, and then it'll be in here permanently. It'll be nicely mounted. Cover goes on top. I'm sure there's something I'm missing, but so far so good. It looks all right.
Yeah, stage 1 complete.
Yeah.
Give me your freedom. Whoa, yeah, me to pieces. Yeah, I need it. Want your pandemonium. Life is so easy. Whoa, you love me to pieces. Yeah, I need it. Want your pandemonium.